So, how did much of Central Europe come under the control of the fascists in the 1930s? Um, so, it mainly stems from the economic consequences of World War One and the post-war policies that came with that, mainly the Treaty of Versailles. And out of that comes three political systems in capitalism, Bolshevism, and fascism. And fascism was really just the movement of the anti. Um, and it was a fusion of nationalism, democracy, and authoritarianism. And really, they were obsessed with progress, rejuvenation, and restoration. And they were like anti-class, like they hated the idea of upper, middle, lower class, like the Bolsheviks instated, and they also hated capitalism. Um, and really, where um, fascism really gets its feet on the ground is in Italy in 1922, where the first fascist party was really globally recognized, and um, people were like, "Oh, this is like a valid thing, like fascism." It really became a thing under Mussolini in Italy, and Germany also adopts fascism, but they definitely take it to a farther extent. And this really happens after the Great Depression, is when Germany really, becomes like Nazi Germany, um, because Nazi Germany was a thing, and you know, but the difference was Nazi Germany had all the authority goes to the Führer, and they had like a Darwinistic worldview. Aryan is the best, the racist outlook and whatnot. And yeah, so it wasn't popular until the Great Depression, when it rose from like 6% approval rate to 45% in just 4 years, literally right after the Great Depression. From 1929 to 1933 is when that percentage increased. And the Germans were just deathly scared of Bolshevism, and they really saw Nazism as really the only solution to that problem. And so Nazism really focused on aggressive expansion, and so did the Italians, the Fasci, and the NSDAP, which is Nazi Germany. Started to gain power and like saw everything as a battle where they had gain power, and it kind of just took over because the League of Nations didn't do anything because they really just weren't stable. They were socially and economically unprepared for this, and to go to war. And Britain signed the Munich Accords, which kind of just like, all right, like do your thing, Germany, like we'll stay out of it, like just don't hurt us. And so they just kind of like went to it, and the reason, another way, you think, how do these people believe such horrible things like in Nazism, like were all these Germans like just like brainwashed, and like kind of they were, through propaganda, which like has always been a thing, but it really like through the media and film, the biggest one in Nazi Germany being The Triumph of the Will. And it was basically just like a wordless film where Hitler looks divine in all of it, just like the ultimate leader, and like over and over, it just like stresses camaraderie, obedience, loyalty, in the video, and it's kind of like a campaign ad, but. So, and Hitler also stresses in his book Mein Kampf, he says propaganda must present only that aspect of the truth which is favorable to its own side. And he says to just keep it to those essentials and just repeat the slogans over and over until the very last individual has grasped it. And yeah, so that's kind of how that happened. Ran out of time.